Hello and welcome everyone. Today we are discussing about pleural fluid examination. Topics covered under this video are indication, collection, cross-examination, chemical examination, microscopic examination, microbiological examination and other. Indication. Pleural fluid analysis is a test that examines a sample of fluid that has collected in the pleural space. This is the space between lining of pleura and wall of the chest. A trace amount of fluid is found in this space as a part of healthy lymphatic drainage. This provides lubrication between lung parenchyma and musculoskeletal structures of a rib cage during inhalation and exhalation. The excess fluid is pathological, which is called pleural effusion. Pleural effusion indicates an imbalance between pleural fluid formation and removal. Accumulation of pleural fluid is not a specific disease but rather a reflection of underlying pathology such as disorders of lung, pleura and systemic disorders. Thoracocentesis should be performed for new and unexplained pleural effusions. Now let's learn the collection of fluid. Thoracocentesis is a procedure that is performed to remove fluid or air from thoracic cavity for both diagnostic and or therapeutic purposes. Thoracocentesis is done in either supine or sitting position depending on patient's comfort, underlying condition and clinical indication. Diagnostic thoracocentesis is a small volume, approximately 20 cc to 30 cc syringe. Therapeutic thoracocentesis is a large volume which have multiple liters of fluid. If volume of fluid is anticipated to reaccumulate quickly, then a drain is left in the place to collect this fluid. The contraindication of this procedure is there is no absolute contraindications, but there are few relative contraindications such as bleeding disorders, altered chest anatomy, cellulitis or herpes zoster at a site of thoracocentesis procedure, uncontrolled coughing, uncooperative patient, pulmonary disease with life-threatening complications. The procedure of thoracocentesis is invasive. The safety of procedure is improved when performed under direct ultrasound guidance. The preferred site for procedure is on affected site in either mid-axillary line if the procedure is being performed in a supine position, or the posterior mid-scapular line if the procedure is being performed in the upright or seated position. Prep and wrap the patient in a sterile fashion. Cleanse the skin with antiseptic solution. Administer the local anesthesia to skin and soft tissue. Depending on the catheter used for thoracocentesis, a single stab incision through the superficial skin of anesthetized skin will facilitate the passage of catheter. Intercostal neurovascular bundle is located along the lower edge of rib. So the needle must be placed over the upper edge of rib to avoid damage to this neurovascular bundle. Insert the large bore thoracocentesis needle catheter along with the syringe which has a negative pressure in the 5th intercostal space or 1 to 2 intercostal space below the fluid level, but do not insert below the 8th intercostal space. Insert the needle in the space until the loss of resistance is felt and steady flow of fluid is obtained. After you collect the sufficient fluid in the syringe for fluid analysis, remove the needle. The fluid is collected in the sterile clean container with proper labeling. The fluid sample must be transported to laboratory as soon as possible as freshly tapped samples are preferred for cytological examination. If for unavoidable reasons the processing cannot be done immediately or within 2 hours, the fluid should be refrigerated at 4 degrees centigrade and transported on a ice or cool box to arrest degeneration of cells. The specimen should not be allowed to freeze. In samples with high protein content such as exudates and those which are blood tinged or hemorrhagic, The addition of anticoagulant prevents the clotting of sample. Now let's learn about the gross examination. First is color. It can be clear, straw color, yellow, brown, red, chylous, purulent, hemorrhagic and other. Frank purulent fluid indicates an empyema. A milky fluid suggests chylothorax or pseudochylothorax. This is most often caused by lymphatic obstruction secondary to malignancy, chronic inflammation or thoracic duct injury by trauma or surgical procedure. Grossly bloody fluid is usually associated with trauma. Less common causes include tuberculosis, aortic dissection, ruptured aortic aneurysm and malignancy. Straw-colored fluid with distinctive smells of ammonia is indicative of urinothorax. A presence of food particles suggests esophageal rupture. Black pleural fluid is extremely rare and indicative of only a few diseases includes Aspergillus niger infection, malignant melanoma, hemorrhage and hemolysis associated with non-small cell lung cancer. Second is transparency. It can be clear, moderately turbid or frankly turbid. Third is consistency. It can be serous, mucoid, gelatinous, thick, copious, tar-like or other. And fourth, look for any evidence of clotting or cobweb formation. Now let's learn about chemical examination. The normal pH of pleural fluid is 7.6 to 7.64. pH less than 7.3 is seen in empyema, rheumatoid pleuritis and pleural effusion associated with TB, malignancy and esophageal rupture. Glucose. The normal level of glucose is as same as blood glucose level. The low level of glucose seen in empyema, rheumatoid pleuritis, pleural effusion associated with TB, malignancy and esophageal rupture. Protein. Normally it is 1 to 2 gram per dl. Here comes the terms like transudate and exudate. Differentiating between transudative and exudative effusion is pivotal in identifying the underlying process. The key difference between transudative and exudative effusion is how the pleural fluid has accumulated. A transudate is almost always associated with imbalance of fluid or protein throughout the body rather than specific pleural pathology. It can be produced in two ways. Firstly, from fluid overload, where the hydrostatic pressure forces the fluid out of capillaries and into extravascular space, such as congestive heart failure. Secondary, decreased oncotic pressure in the capillaries can lead to fluid being leaked out of vessels and again accumulating in extravascular spaces. This is found in low albumin states such as liver failure or nephrotic syndrome. Protein is less than 30 gram per liter in transudate. An exudative effusion is caused by disease localized to pleura. The leakage of fluid is due to increased capillary permeability triggered by an insult such as infection or malignancy. Here protein is more than 30 gram per liter. Pleural fluid LDH. LDH is a marker of inflammation or cellular injury. It is sensitive but not specific. Normal pleural LDH level is less than 50% of that of plasma concentration. LDH levels of greater than 3 times the upper limit of normal are often indicative of pleural infection, malignancy of rheumatoid effusion. Leitz criteria. The Leitz criteria are used to determine if an effusion is exudative or transudative. The first criteria is pleural fluid protein upon serum protein ratio is greater than 0.5. Second is pleural fluid LDH upon serum LDH ratio is greater than 0.6. And third is pleural fluid LDH greater than 2/3 of upper limit of normal serum LDH value. Amylase. The normal pleural fluid amylase level is between 30 to 110 units per liter. Pleural fluid amylase levels greater than 110 units per liter are indicative of pancreatitis, malignancy, or ruptured esophagus. Triglycerides and cholesterol. If Tg is more than 110 and cholesterol is less than 170 mg per dl, then it suggests chylothorax. And if the Tg is less than 49 mg per dl and cholesterol is more than 170 mg per dl, then it suggests pseudochylothorax. ADA. Adenosine deaminase is a marker of immune reactions within lymphocytes, and it is used to help diagnose tuberculous pleural effusion. In low risk areas where the prevalence of TB is less than 125 per 1 lakh population, the ADA less than 40 international unit per liter can effectively rule out tuberculous effusion in 98% of cases. In moderate to high risk populations, an ADA level of 35 to 40 international unit per liter or more can be used to diagnose tuberculous pleural effusion with 92% sensitivity and 90% specificity. False positive results can be found in empyema, rheumatoid effusions, malignancy, and other infectious diseases. The elevated pleural fluid rheumatoid factor, a titer around 1:320, is seen in rheumatoid arthritis related effusion. Antinuclear antibody titer more than 1:160 and pleural fluid serum ANA ratio is more than 1 is seen in SLE associated pleural effusion. Microscopical examination. Transudates have WBC count less than 1000 cells per microliter, whereas exudates generally have WBC count greater than 50,000 cells per microliter. Pleural fluid lymphocytes such as TB, CCF, sarcoidosis, malignancy, lymphoma, renal or liver failure, and rheumatoid arthritis. Neutrophil dominant effusions are associated with empyema or pulmonary embolism. In eosinophilic effusion, the most common underlying diagnoses are malignancy, idiopathic, and parapneumonic effusion. Malignant cells can be seen in malignant pleural effusion. Indian Academy of Cytology suggests the criteria for reporting effusion fluid cytology. The first category is unsatisfactory for evaluation, where no cells are seen, obscuration by blood artifacts, and extensive degenerative changes are seen on cytology. The second category, where no malignant cells are detected and benign changes are seen. The benign changes can be reactive mesothelial cells, inflammatory cells, lymphocyte-rich effusion, and specific infections can be identified such as tuberculosis infection, microfilaria, fungal infection, hydatid cyst, and other. Third category shows atypical cells not otherwise specified. Fourth is atypical cells suspicious for malignancy, and fifth is malignant cells seen. Microbiological examination. The gold standard for diagnosis of tuberculous effusion is positive microscopy and or culture of Mycobacterium tuberculosis in pleural fluid or biopsies. And also gold standard for diagnosis of pleural infection is a growth of a particular organism in the pleural fluid. Unfortunately, some of the aspirate can be negative in the standard culture, but the yield is increased with simultaneous use of blood culture bottles. The addition of pleural biopsy culture may further increase the microbiological yield. So this is in short about pleural fluid examination. These are the references for this video. Hope you like it. Thank you. Bye. See you in the next video.